Real estate's tougher right now than it's been in quite some time. The market slowed down, and a lot of the agents who came on during the easy years between 2020 and 2022 never really built any real discipline, processes, or systems. So now they're just kind of stuck, right? Over my career, I've watched similar cycles before, and I can tell you that the agents who make it through the slow times all have one thing in common, and they got really specific. So today I want to talk to you about one thing: how I built my business serving one single niche at a time, why it works, and why you might consider it for yourself. And if you're new here, my name is Eddie. I'm a real estate broker here in South Florida, and I've been an agent, broker, owner, trainer, and consultant for over 20 years now. I started my career in Chicago, moved my family to Florida, and really became very specific about who it was I was going to serve. Now, if I'm honest, I didn't start that way. Like many, I was looking for any opportunity I can get my hands on. And that might be you. You may be looking for any opportunity that comes your way. And the last thing you'd think about is specializing because it feels like you're limiting yourself. But I'm here to tell you it's actually the opposite. You see, when you become a specialist in serving a certain type of client, a certain demographic, price point, area, situation, lifestyle, you name it, it first feels like you're limiting yourself. But what you're actually doing is building two really important things: a brand and a proficiency. You're becoming incredibly proficient at serving a certain type of customer, and you're building the brand around it just organically because you're starting to be known for serving that type of customer. And what magically starts to happen, and this kind of happens, in the later half of applying this, is the inbound opportunities start to happen. The phone starts to ring because they know you helped so and so with that type of transaction, and they're going through something similar. So of course they think of you because hopefully you of course provided excellent service and the client spoke positively and fondly of you. That's always the goal. And that's one of the tenets of having longevity in this business. Now, this video is only for those that intend to stay in the business for a long time. If you're one of those fair weather agents that came in for the money grab when the market was quote unquote easy, this probably isn't for you. This is for like-minded people, very much like the clients that we serve inside our agency. They're focused, disciplined, ready to put the work in, and really trying to build a solid foundation for a successful real estate career. A career that really, for me and my family, has really given us a lot, and I'm very grateful for that. So all I'm really doing here is sharing what's actually worked. So what I teach is this concept of niching down, the idea of specializing yourself in a certain market, situation, type of customer, price point. Again, the things I named earlier. Those are all very specific niches. Back when I started, it was a lot tougher to do that. You needed to understand the market more deeply, spend a lot more time in it. But now, fast forward all these years, and thankfully I've got a bit of a tech nerd side to me, I really dove into data, and not just access to data, because we've all pretty much have access to the data as agents, but using the data to my advantage. That was the key. Understanding all the nuances about a property and its ownership to really flush out where there may be some opportunity. So this really brings me to deciding on a niche. And in my MAP system, and I'll leave a link down below, you'll hear about MAP a few times. It's the midlife agent pipeline, which is midlife because it's for some of us that are a little bit older, but it's applicable really to anyone, especially if you're just getting started and trying to build a discipline. The midlife agent pipeline is understanding your persona, your problem, and what the plan is. So it's the 3 Ps. And when we talk about niche, I'm really talking about persona. Persona is simply understanding who that person is and what they're going through. Who is it I'm trying to serve? And this may come from clients that you've served in the past where you're like, hey, I really enjoyed helping that type of person or going through that difficult situation like divorce, for example, and I was really good at it. I was really empathetic and I've been through it myself. You'll likely find either in your past career or in your clients you've served these little moments where you're like, I really like that. Maybe you enjoyed serving first-time home buyers. Maybe you enjoy something like I did when I first moved my family to Florida. I picked out what I believed would have been a reasonable and almost maybe stereotypical niche inside South Florida, which was senior owners. And that was incredibly fruitful for us as a brokerage, as an agency, as a team. As a leader, it was an absolute great persona to focus on. So much so that we were able to provide very specific services to them because we knew exactly what they needed. In our case, we were serving senior owners who lived in large homes. And again, this is us using data to understand who that person is, why they might be more likely to want to sell, all the way to where they'd like to end up, like a condo on the water. So from A to Z, we were helping people downsize from larger homes, older homes who had a lot of equity, down to a little condo on the water. That seems very specific. I understand that, like ultra specific. But there was, of course, enough business in that for it to be a very fruitful endeavor. And it may be something like people going through pre-foreclosure and that also have liens on their property, or people with an investment property that don't live in it, like a non-owner occupied property, and they happen to have an HOA lien on it, or they're behind on their taxes. There's almost an unlimited amount of combinations you can create by using data. And that's what we focus on, helping our clients zero in on a certain type of niche that they're best equipped to serve. That's really what it comes down to. Now, why does this work? Well, the more you serve a certain client, the more proficient you become. And almost all the answers to their questions come up over and over because they're very specific and they keep reoccurring. So you get very proficient at handling those questions. And likely you also have not only the answers, but the partners in place to help you. For example, in this senior example, we had movers that were specifically focused on helping seniors with their move. Was it a viable business for those movers? Absolutely. They not only had the manpower to move somebody, but the empathetic, supportive, slower paced team to handle the emotions that usually come with someone downsizing from their home that they raised their family in. Similarly, we have clients in our agency very focused on the divorce niche. Now, you think, well, that's a really challenging move and a challenging niche, and you have to be equipped for that. But even those had attorneys and counselors on their team, and that they would send to their clients so they can get help with that particular type of move. So all that to say, when you serve people at a very specific level, you also attract new business by way of that specialty. That's where we've had a lot of success, not only us as a real estate company, but for the clients that we've served. And I don't mean the transactional clients, right? The listings. I'm talking about other agents, brokerages, teams that we provide our services to. So why might you consider this? Well, maybe you don't have a real discipline right now. You're kind of scattered. You're not focused on anything. You're waiting for your broker to send you a lead, or you're hoping a new service you're paying for send you some leads. The trouble is it's incredibly scattered and inconsistent. You don't know when they're coming in. And most importantly, you're not building anything for the long term. You're just waiting for an opportunity. And it's never the same kind. So you never really become proficient at serving one type of customer. So if building a niche is something you'd be interested in, definitely consider following along, because that's exactly what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to dive deeper into it, how we help our clients and our teams. If you like the idea of becoming a specialist and really understanding how to hone in on a certain type of client, as opposed to waiting for leads to fall in your lap from your broker or that lead gen service, or you simply don't have a real estate discipline yet, but you're committed to your business, I encourage you to follow along, because I want to keep sharing everything that's worked for us and for the people that I've been able to serve. So if this makes sense to you, consider subscribing, because I'm going to keep talking about this very process, what you need to hone in on, how to identify your niche, how you understand what they're going through, and how you develop a plan to reach out and speak to their unique situation so you're seen as the real estate professional suited to solve their problem. We'll see you on the next one.